Welcome back. Now, Namibia continues to endure severe weather challenges. Torrential rains in January devastated Windhoek, and March updates reveal that floods and possible flooding in various regions across the country may continue, with potential floodwaters also from Angola amplifying these risks. Our Deputy Director of Hydrological Services, Paulina Mufeti, from the Directorate of Water Resources Management at the Ministry of Water, now joins us via Zoom to speak to us on the evolving flood threat and the urgent measures needed to protect local communities. Madam Paulina, good evening and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, Elmer. Good evening.
Can you hear me clearly, Madam Paulina?
Yes, I can.
All right, fantastic. Well, let's get right into it. From your hydrological perspective, what specific factors, such as unusual rainfall intensity or regional runoffs, are driving these events that we're seeing, and how do these compare with past flooding patterns?
Thank you. Namibia is a country that is having a climate that is unpredictable and variable, meaning that with climate change, our situation in terms of flood and drought disasters, it's going to exacerbate in terms of frequency and intensity. And it's mainly due to our inherent climate. And most of what actually causes flooding is, of course, intense rainfall and high runoff, especially in the urban areas, the low-lying area receiving lots of inflow due to, let's say, a sudden outburst of a sudden cloud outburst, which can cause a massive flood. But then our perennial rivers, which are at our borders, they are having their headwaters in neighboring countries, and when those neighboring countries receive heavy rainfall, all that water come down, and then it join our perennial rivers, and then it results to flooding.
Now, also, we know that several reports have highlighted some concerns about, floodwaters potentially originating from Angola and affecting key basins in Namibia, such as the Kuvalai-Etosha Basin. So how is the hydrological services monitoring, these transboundary water flows?
Yeah, we are having at our borders, especially now in this case, for the Kuvalai, we are having hydrological monitoring station that collect information with regard to river water levels, especially in the Kuvalai channels, and also some rainfall stations. And it's not only the Kuvalai system, it's also, for example, the Zambezi. We also have our near real-time stations, and also on the Kavango, and also on the Orange, and also inside the country where we are having flood-prone areas, for example, around the Kwiseb and Omaruru catchment. We are having near real-time monitoring stations that are based on cellular technology transmission and also satellite transmission. But then we also have connection with the transboundary, our neighboring state hydrologist, whereby, for example, for the Zambezi, we communicate through the Zambezi River Authority. They send us updates on the river levels upstream, and then we monitor. We also use other platforms such as internet-based satellite products to monitor the rainfall events, and we also send teams during the flood season for flood monitoring. When there is when we foresee that an imminent flooding is going to occur, we send out teams to be on the ground to monitor the floods.
Madam Paulina, flood risk awareness is a critical element in minimizing the disaster, impacts. So can you describe any new outreach, educational, initiatives being rolled out to improve community resilience?
Thank you. Yes, the hydrological services, we have a daily flood bulletin, which we distribute on a daily basis. And it's having more than 700 stakeholders from disaster management, community leaders, regional councils, the private sector, the media, and also regional institutions from neighboring countries, and also international international institutions who use our data also to come up with the global flood prediction models, which help us also to look at the flooding events on their platforms.
Just lastly, talk to us about how these insights are shaping both your future operational policies and also public awareness, flood-prone areas that we've spoken about and potential flooding, of course, within the country.
Yes, for example, this year, floods, we will use the information to update our existing flood risk map, for example, in areas where we are already having flood risk maps, and we'll also update our databases with regard to the recent floods that have been happening. And it's also a lesson learning we learned a lot of lessons in terms of coordination and with other institutions involved with disaster risk management, in terms of sharing information, and which, for example, we realize that our information is very crucial for their disaster response and also for disaster recovery. And also in the new Water Act, Water Resource Management Act of 2013 that was enacted in 2023, there is now a new chapter with regard to flood risk, whereby local and regional councils are compelled to come up with flood risk mapping in their areas.
Madam Paulina, just lastly, your words perhaps to these communities that are within these high-risk areas and what they need to be aware of during this time.
Yes, we are approaching the end of the rainy season. The rainy season normally ends in April, but then we are not yet out of the woods, and the forecast still look like we are going to receive more rains, and especially for the communities that reside in areas that are prone to flooding. For example, the far eastern floodplain of the Zambezi River catchment, the Kuvelai, those residing at the river banks of the Okavango, the Kunene, they should be on high alert because we are still in the flooding season, because persistent rains have been happening in the upper catchment of especially Angola and also in Zambia, and the flood waters are still collecting and coming.
Mm-hmm. Madam Paulina Mufeti, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
We're going to take a brief break now. We'll be right back.